Hey everybody, Mo here, and in this video I'm going to be bringing you guys 8 decks that I'm going to be playing and that you should try on the first day or couple days of the new expansion, which comes out on October 14th for Legends of Runeterra. I'm just going to go through these 8 different decks. I made 7 of them, and then one of these was made by a friend of mine, and I'm just say why I think you should play these decks, give you a little general oversight, so that way you can enjoy these decks to the fullest and then play them how they're supposed to be played. So, just a quick note before we get into each of the decks. One, if you're watching this and you're interested in any of these decks, like I said, hop over to my Twitch channel. The link will be in the description below, as well as on the screen right now, twitch.tv/emotional. I'll be playing more than likely 8 to 10 hours a day for, the next couple days at least, playing all of the brand new cards and all of these fun decks, and I'll be playing them in ranked once ranked resets and comes out. So I'll be able to play all of these cards to their fullest potential. It'll be a lot of fun. We're going to definitely try a lot of decks. And then one last thing before we get into the decks here is over 80% of the people that watch my videos aren't actually subscribed to me. So if you guys could just do me a huge favor, and if you enjoy the videos, press that subscribe button. It's free, it's easy, and it helps me out so much with the YouTube algorithm. I can't even explain to you guys how much it helps me out. And plus, if you change your mind later, you can always just unsubscribe, and it's no hassle for you, and it's free. So that's it, and let's get into these decks here. Alright, so the first deck I have here is a Soraka Aggro deck. So the way this works is you just play a bunch of these really nice aggro cards. So they actually give you a lot of aggro cards in Bilgewater in the new set. Like Crusty Codger. This card's really good. 1 mana, 2/4s, super good. Star Shepherd is pretty okay. I mean, it got a lot better with this set for sure, but I think it's pretty playable. If this card ends up being bad, you can always just swap it out for the 1 mana, 2/2 Pirate, Jagged Butcher. Boxtopus is absolutely insanely statted for a 2-drop. The downside is you have to deal through damage to it, but you'll see in a minute why it's super busted. And then Fortune Croaker, this card is so good. This card's literally just the 2 mana Celestial Dog card. So they actually just printed a Celestial card that you can play. And that card's really good. It helps you refuel, and it's also really nice. It has average stats with an above average ability, so that's always good. Then you have the Make It Rain, the Monkey Business. We've seen these cards before. Pale Cascade because it's an aggro deck. Lounging Lizard. A 3 mana 3/3 elusive is already really good, but the fact that it has the upside of being a 3 mana 3/5 elusive makes it just insanely good. Then you have Mentor of Stone, so either buff up your elusive unit or just any of your aggro units, really. On top of when it dies, you get gems, which helps you with leveling up Soraka, as well as just helps you in the aggro matchup because you're giving more power away. Monkey Idol, because it helps trigger Gangplank and, free damage. And of course, Soraka, because she makes all of these downsides to these overstatted cards not a downside at all. You top it off with a Stargazer to get a little bit of, finish them off with some elusive damage, and then a Gangplank as your high end to go ahead and just kill them off with Overwhelm Gangplank ability. So the reason this deck is so nutty is because of the curves it has. So you can go turn 1, Crackshot, or Crusty Codger if you're attacking on odds, right? You go turn 1 of these guys, you get your damage in for turn. Then you can go turn 2 Boxtopus, and you're like, oh no, I played a 2 mana 3/1 Challenger unit. But you immediately follow it up with a turn 3 Soraka. So Boxtopus doesn't have a downside anymore. You just support Boxtopus from Soraka, you heal it for 4, and then it's back to just being a 2 mana 3/4 Challenger unit, which kills just about every 2 and 3 drop in the game right now. That's so crazy to me. Or you don't even need Soraka. You just get Mentor of Stones, and then Boxtopus has a 5/3. It's a 2 mana 5/3 Challenger unit. Noxus has a 2 mana 5/1 that can't block. This just straight up is a 2 mana 5/3 that can block, and it's also better than that. It turns into a 2 mana 5/6. That's crazy. That's crazy. A 2 mana 5/6 with Challenger. It's just, this deck has so much potential. I don't know. Also, fair warning for all of these decks. These aren't going to be the most polished, perfect lists. But I think these are all very, very good places to start. But for sure, I think there's going to be a Soraka aggro deck out there. And this is probably the best place to start with. So let's go on to the next deck, which is going to be Frej Elusives. So this is going to be like a take on the Fizz elusive deck right now, where you play Fizz with Starlit Seer and a bunch of spells. And the main thing that we got from the new set is going to be, of course, Lounging Lizard. First thing when I saw Lounging Lizard was immediately Take Heart, because it deals damage to itself. So you can go float, float, which means you pass on turn 1, pass on turn 2, which on turn 3, that allows you to play Lounging Lizard and then have the mana to immediately Take Heart. And then now you have a turn 3 6/6 Elusive, which is absolutely insane. And the fact that Hush just got nerfed to where they can only cast it once, a lot of people are going to be scared of that Hush nerf and take it out of their decks. And on top of people taking Hush out of their deck, nobody's playing Purify, and most people aren't playing Elusives. A 3-mana 6/6 Elusive will be able to close the game in really, really fast. It'll close the game out really, really fast. On top of, if you ever play Starlit Seer on 2 and then bounce spells off of it to buff up this Lounging Lizard, it just gets more and more insane, and it's just absolutely crazy. So the idea behind this deck is just, same as Fizz. It's more of just an elusive destroyer deck. It only plays 12 units, so you're going to want a hard mulligan for the units in this deck. But once you get Starlit Seer online and you start buffing up something like a Lounging Lizard, you play 3 spells, draw your Lounging Lizard, boom, you have a 3-mana, 6-power elusive already before you buff it up with things like Take Heart. So this deck, something to look out for. I don't know how competitive this deck will be. It'll definitely take some refining to do, but this deck's pretty good. The next one is my take on Tahm Kench's, which is not super unique. I just put Tahm Kench with Freljord. It makes the most sense to me, because Tahm Kench has to fight the cards that he captures. So the thing that made the most sense is just to make them have no power. So you do things like Brittle Steel, Ice Veil Archer, Troll Chant, Flash Freeze, all the good old Frostbites. So that way, every turn, whenever you get your Acquired Taste from Tahm Kench, or if you're ever playing your Bayou Brunches, then it's just a one-sided detain, basically. A one-sided fight card, and it'll make Tahm Kench level up super, super easy. I think if Tahm Kench ever does see play and ever is competitive, it's 100% going to be in a Freljord deck, so this is a very good starting place for it. The next deck, and the deck I'm actually most excited for, and I might even be taking this to a tournament this weekend, or a version of this, is Asol Trundle. Now, I know you guys are groaning because it's just Asol Trundle, and it's like, oh, we've played Asol Trundle for the last, month now. Well, the new Eclipse Dragon makes this deck look so much nicer, because you can nut draw into a turn 6 Aurelion Soul. If you go turn 3 ramp, turn 4 ramp, so either double Warning Stones or Warning Stones Catalyst, whatever. It's not that uncommon to have 2 ramp cards. If you ramp on turn 3, and then ramp on turn 4, turn 5, you can Daybreak this Eclipse Dragon, which makes your next dragon cost 2 less, which means on turn 6, you can play an 8-mana Aurelion Soul, because it's going to cost, Aurelion Soul is going to cost 2 less from the Eclipse Dragon, so it's only going to cost 8 mana, and because you've ramped twice, on turn 6, you'll have 8 mana. So you can nut out a turn 6 Spell Shielded Asol. There's only 2 ways you could possibly kill an Asol on turn 6. And both ways that I can think of anyways, immediately put your opponent way down in card advantage, because they're going to have to spend 2 or 3 cards to kill this Aurelion Soul. So anytime you can nut out a turn 6 champion like this, a turn 6 10-coster, will be absolutely crazy. So I'm super excited for this card. Other than that, it just plays as normal Asol Trundle. You eventually just win with Mind Splitters. You have your Avalanche to deal with aggro. You have your Tavern Keeper to deal with aggro. Eventually, you just slam Trundle, beat their face in, slam Aurelion Soul, and Mind Splitter as the high end. But now we have this Eclipse Dragon here to make it, pretty good. And also, if you ever do the Nightfall on Eclipse Dragon, it's a really good way to end the game by itself, since it creates you 2 cards, one of them being a dragon, one being a celestial, which both have very, very high, upsides. So this deck I'm the most excited for, and probably going to be one of the first decks I play. The next one, which is the deck I'm actually the second most excited for, is Shyv Dragons. This deck is basically just going to be like a Bannerman deck. It's going to be Bannerman 4.0 or 5.0. You kind of just play your mid-range Demacia cards. You play your Egghead Researcher, which is new, your Dragon Lieutenant Challenger Unit, which is good. And then, of course, you have the star of the show, Shyvana, followed by, 2 of these little rally cards. Genevieve just got nerfed, so you might want to switch out Genevieve for Cythria. We're not really sure what the stats are going to look like on that, but it's going to be one of those 2. Overall, this just plays like Bannerman, so if you're a BBG fan or you're just a play units on curve type of guy, this is going to be the deck for you for sure. The next deck we have, which is probably not the most competitive deck is going to be Poros. So what is going to be competitive is patched Porobot. I think this card's actually so nuts. I think this card is really, really, really good. Even if it just wasn't a Poro, the fact a 2-mana 2/3 is already like a decent stat line. You know, that's already average stat line. But on top of that, it gets a random keyword is really good. I mean, imagine a 2-mana 2/3 challenger unit. That's really good. A 2-mana 2/3 elusive unit, pretty decent. 2-mana 2/3 first strike, really good. 2-mana 2/3 regeneration. Like, all of these keywords that I think of are just super good on a 2-mana 2/3 card. And so I think because of that, Poros is definitely something to look into. I know I've talked to a couple other people that have talked about Poro decks being the first deck they're going to play on day one, and this is going to be this is a pretty decent way to start. I put it with PNZ, Freljord. I put Heimerdinger in here because all of your Poros next cost 3, so you can get the Fearsome unit, and then you have your Aurora Borealis, which gets you another, 2 Poros next, so you get even more Fearsome units. But you don't have to play Heimerdinger. You can play it with whatever you want. So that's my Poro deck. I have the Dragon Roleplay deck here. It is our second to last deck because I know a lot of people out there just like dragons and they just want to spam dragons. So I went ahead and just made you a starter list if you wanted to roleplay dragons, and all you wanted to do is just search the word dragon, search the keyword dragon, and shove it in your deck. This is the deck for you. I mean, nothing wrong with that. You just get to play Mobilize here, which makes your dragons cheaper. Then you get to play Herald, which also makes your dragons cheaper. So you're cheating out these big units pretty early. I mean, just Herald plus Mobilize. You can immediately play like a turn 4, like 5/5 with Spell Shield. That's pretty good. You can play a turn 4 Screeching Dragon, which is good. You have the potential to play a turn 3 Shyvana, which is really, really good. All of these cards are just super nutty. I mean, this is basically if you wanted to play a mid-range dragon deck, but you wanted to play super roleplay and only do dragons, this is going to be the deck for you. And the very last deck we're going to look at is a buddy of mine, 209, made a Dragon Helia deck, Vaults of Helia, and it's with Demacia. So I was going to make a deck like this, but I didn't really know where to start exactly. So I just asked for some inspiration from my pal, and then he gave me this deck, which I agree with. I mean, I was going to make Demacia with it anyways, and this looks like a really good starting place. So you have 3-ofs on all your early game units before you play the Vaults of Helia. That way you have a little bit more consistency in the early game to make sure you don't just die. Because the worst thing about these landmarks is it's such a big tempo loss the turn you play it, because you're basically spending your turn 5 to do nothing. And it'll set up your future turns to be really good, but your turn 5 is nothing. So you want to make sure you're not at like 10 health on turn 5, because otherwise what happens is you say, okay, I'm at 10 health, play Vaults of Helia, and then your opponent just kills you. So having all of these 3-ofs early game makes it really easy to not die. And then once you play your Vaults of Helia, if you notice that later on you get to these 2-ofs, and then 1-ofs down here at the very late game, and that's just because you're going to manually tutor out these. So the way Vaults of Helia will work is ideally you play Vaults of Helia, you have a Grizzled Ranger. You sack your Grizzled Ranger, you'll get a Screeching Dragon. You then sack your Screeching Dragon to get a Rally on your opponent's turn. You then sack your Rally unit to get a Rekindler, which gets back your Shyvana. And then you sack your Rekindler to get a Tiana, which then rallies on your opponent's turn. And then you sack the Tiana to give your Cadgren guy this dragon on your turn, which buffs all your ally dragons +2/+2, and you just get a really big open attack. So the biggest key with this specific version, if you're going to play it, is make sure that you're attacking on odds, I believe. 4 to 5, 5 to 6. I believe it's talking on odds, or even just make sure that when you play your Vaults of Helia, you're going to get your 6 mana unit on your opponent's turn. Because if you aren't getting your 6 mana unit here on your opponent's turn, it's really, really, really bad. So you got to make sure that whenever you play it, just try and make sure that you can set up to where once you sack your 4-cost unit into your 5-cost or 5-cost into your 6-cost, that both of these 6 and 8-cost units come out on your opponent's turn. That way you can start the turn by rallying on your opponent's turn, and that's absolutely insane since these are both summon effects, and that's for sure just going to run away with the game with you. But that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. These are the 8 decks that I'm going to be trying, and I recommend you want to try for the expansion day on October 14th, which is tomorrow. Again, I'll be live probably 10 hours all heckin' day playing, Legends of Runeterra, playing all these new fun cards, fun decks. So if you want to, have any inspiration or have a decks you want to see me play and try and make a YouTube video out of, I'm all for making YouTube videos out of random ass decks. So go over there to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/emotional, and shoot me a deck idea. And that's going to be it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.